nearly half the league scored at least 30 points per game last season, showing why the FunBelt truly is the FunBelt. Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. And today we are bringing you our 2019 FunBelt Conference recap, our final Group of 5 recap of our prediction season. And we won't delay it any further. We'll jump straight into the Eastern Division of the FunBelt with the heavy favorite going into 2019, the Appalachian State Mountaineers, the team that won the first ever FunBelt Conference Championship game last season over the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. But we're going to stick with the Mountaineers right now, and they are under new management. Scott Satterfield has left to go take the job over at Louisville, and in comes Elijah Drinkwitz, and he inherits a very talented team, returning 10 starters on offense from a unit that averaged 37.3 points per game last year, and a defense that returned 6 starters and allowed just 15.5 points per game last season. They returned their star quarterback in Zach Thomas, who threw for over 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns, but also added over 500 yards on the ground and 10 touchdowns as well. They returned their running back in Darrington Evans, who rushed for over 1,100 yards last year. They returned all but one wide receiver from 2018, and they are really one upset away, maybe two, because they have 2 non-conference games against North Carolina and South Carolina from being a contender for a New Year's Six bowl game. If Appalachian State can run the table and upset at least one, but definitely both, Appalachian State will make a case to be in a New Year's Six bowl game going into 2019. This team is extremely talented across the board, as we mentioned, by far the heavy favorite, and their toughest test is going to be Troy. But right now, we have Appalachian State finishing 9-3, 7-1 in conference play, owning a 1-game edge over the Trojans, who also we have finishing with a 9-3 record, but a 6-2 record in FunBelt Conference play. Like Appalachian State, the Trojans will have a brand new head coach, this time in the likes of Chip Lindsey, a brilliant offensive-minded coach. I think he will thrive here. Neil Brown, in his final 3 years with the Trojans, went 31-8, won at least 10 games in those final 3 seasons. But Brown, as we all know, has left to go take the job over at West Virginia. And while under Brown, they beat teams like LSU and Nebraska, Power 5 opponents cannot afford to overlook Troy again this season. Troy, even though they're under new management, even though they lost some key starters, are still going to be a major threat across the nation. They return their quarterback in Caleb Barker and B.J. Smith, but the kicker for them is that they lose their top 3 wide receivers from 2018. That is what is going to maybe separate Appalachian State from Troy. Both will have very potent offenses, but Appalachian State might own the edge offensively over the Trojans. Troy, though, will once again boast a very solid defense, one that returned 6 starters after allowing just 22 points per game last year. Watch out for the Trojans to surprise and really contend for that East crown. Coming in at third, it's Georgia Southern, finishing 7-5 and 5-3 in conference play. And we would like to mention that it was not cocaine. Shy Wirtz, he didn't have it. It wasn't cocaine. It really was bird poop. Believe it or not, it was actually bird poop. Shy Wirtz was criticized for having cocaine, was suspended from the team. Drug test came back negative. He was good to go, and the police just made a mistake. So Shy Wirtz will be back at quarterback for Georgia Southern and the Eagles this year, led by Chad Lunsford once again at head coach, who did one of the most remarkable turnarounds last year, taking Georgia Southern from 2-10 2 years ago to 10-3 in a bowl victory last year. With Wirtz back, along with his star running back / wide receiver in Wesley Kennedy, this offensive performance from the Eagles, this dangerous option offense from Georgia Southern, will be very difficult to stop once again. Their defense was the best they had had since 2012 last year, and they returned 7 starters from that unit this year. I don't think Georgia Southern, with the talent that we see out of App State and Troy and guys over in the West like Arkansas State and Louisiana, I don't think Georgia Southern has the talent to get back to a double-digit win season. But they do have the talent to get back to the postseason, and that's exactly what they will do with Chad Lunsford at the helm. Coming in second to last are bottom 2, Coastal Carolina and Georgia State. The Chanticleers, man, I tell you what, I want to see them in the postseason. I want to see them in the postseason. They dominated for so long in the FCS, did so well there, and that really hasn't transitioned too well over in the FBS. But last year they went 5-7 and were an upset loss away from making the postseason, losing 31 to 28 to South Alabama in the season finale. They win that game, they're 6-6, and they're awaiting an invitation to the postseason, which I believe they would have gotten. But this year they have 7 offensive starters returning, 8 defensive starters returning, and the defense by far going to be the key for the Chanticleers, a very, very experienced front 7. Jamie Chadwell is entering his second year at the helm as head coach of Coastal Carolina. I think this team has the talent to get bowling. We have them at 5-7 and winning 3 games in FunBelt Conference play. They have the talent to do it, but I still think they're just 1 year away. I think Chadwell gets them to their bowl game in 2020. This team is still fairly young, only 5 projected seniors that we have starting in 2019. If the majority of those guys do return in 2020, this Chanticleers team could very well go bowling. Coming in at last, we have Georgia State out of the East, 4-8, also 3-5 in conference play. And I just have to go on record and say that I love Sean Elliott as head coach. I love him. The passion and the intensity that he brings every single day, every day on the sideline, every day at practice. I love it. That's what coaches are made of. That's what every coach should be like. He took over a team a few years ago that went 3-9 and went 7-5. He got them to a bowl game and won that bowl game. But after that bowl appearance, they dropped to 2-10 last season. We have them doubling that win total, but Georgia State has to help out Dan Ellington, their quarterback. He put up decent numbers last year, but he was the leading rusher for the Panthers. You got to take a little bit of the edge off of him. Got to take that pressure off of him. I don't think they're quite ready enough to do that yet. Even though they get to host Troy and Appalachian State, I don't think they win those games. Georgia State coming in at 4-8, last in the East. Over here in the West, once again, kind of like Appalachian State in the East, no surprise to see Arkansas State, but it was a surprise to see the Red Wolves not win the West last season, the first year that we had divisions in the Sun Belt. Louisiana captured that title, beating the Red Wolves 47-43 in Louisiana, which prevented Arkansas State from making an appearance in the championship game. Arkansas State, a big thing they've got to handle this year is replacing their star quarterback in Justice Hansen. And it feels like forever ago that Arkansas State had to last replace a star quarterback. They had guys like Ryan Applin, they had Freddie Knighton, they have Justice Hansen. Who are they going to have now? Well, right now, the starter is going to be Logan Bonner, the only guy on the team that really has solid experience with this Red Wolves offense. Yes, they get Lane Hatcher, the transfer quarterback from Alabama, but I will go on record saying that Lane Hatcher had no business of going to Alabama. He was never going to play. He was never going to start. Logan Bonner, the man for Arkansas State, will be led by a dominant running game from Marcel Murray, who rushed for over 800 yards as a freshman, and a solid wide receiver core with Kirk Merritt and Dahu Green, assuming he can stay healthy. Arkansas State, despite losing their star quarterback in Hansen, will remain the kings of the West, should remain kings of the West, even though they didn't win it last year, 8-4, 6-2 in conference play. Right behind them, though, is the team that prevented them from getting there last year and could also do it again in 2019, Louisiana. Coming in at 7-5 with a 5-3 record in conference play, Billy Napier last year won the Western Division in his first year as head coach. It's a pretty phenomenal job and a pretty impressive feat for a first-year head coach to come in here and lead this brand new program to a conference championship appearance. The Ragin Cajuns went just 7-7, fell to Appalachian State in the championship game, and fell to Tulane in their bowl game. They're going to be led by a dominant rushing game. They have Levi Lewis at quarterback, kind of coming in as a new QB. He'll do fine. But Trey Regis is going to be the star of this team, rushing for over 1,100 yards last year. Once again will be the workhorse for the Ragin Cajuns and will give defenses in the Sun Belt a fit. But Arkansas State getting a one-game edge. They get to host the Ragin Cajuns this year, and that gives them the edge over them to clinch the West. And then we have 3 teams in the West that we don't even have going bowling. Louisiana Monroe, Texas State, and South Alabama. And we'll start with Monroe here, a team that did go 6-6 last year, but was not invited to a bowl game. And I hate it when I see teams get to bowl eligibility and they're not invited. But of course, limited number of slots, limited number of tie-ins. What are you going to do? The Warhawks are a team this year that have the talent to go bowling. You see, we have them at 5-7, 4-4 in conference play. So they do have the talent to get to the postseason, especially led by their quarterback in Caleb Evans, who threw for over 2,800 yards and rushed for over 600 yards. But their defense loses their top 2 tacklers. They go to Appalachian State. They go to Georgia Southern. They go to Louisiana Lafayette. They go to Louisiana. And they draw Florida State, Iowa State, and Memphis in the non-conference. It's a tough schedule for the Warhawks. I just don't see them getting to a bowl game this year, even though they hit 500 in conference play. And then, of course, no surprise to see your cellar dwellers, Texas State and South Alabama. We'll start with the Bobcats, who we have getting a one-game edge over the Jaguars. They are under brand new management as well. They have only won 10 games over the past 4 seasons. They have 19 returning starters. And most times, you know me, I place a lot of emphasis on returning starters, as many people should. That plays a major factor. But for the Bobcats, it's just not going to do the case. With a brand new head coach, with a much difficult schedule, I think they get 2 wins. They've averaged 2.5 the past 4 seasons, so they're right on track. Still kind of averaging the same success rate, but the Bobcats will once again struggle in 2019. And right below them, we have South Alabama, 1-11, winless in Sunbelt Conference play. A major step back, going 3-9 last year in Steve Campbell's first season, coming over from Central Arkansas to take his first FBS coaching job. And most people would say, I'm here to tell you that I think South Alabama is improved from 2018. I believe that. And a lot of people will say, well, how can you say a team's improved, yet they go back in their record, only win 1 game? It's because you got to look at the schedule here. At Nebraska, Memphis, at UAB, at Louisiana Monroe, at Troy, Appalachian State, and they have to host Arkansas State and Louisiana Lafayette. Not many winnable games on this schedule. Not many winnable games for the Jaguars this season. Like we've said from many teams over the course of our predictions, this team will improve. You just might not see it record-wise. You'll see it statistically. You'll see it competitively. You just might not see it in the records. And that's exactly what's going to happen here with South Alabama. And so, you've seen only 10 teams in the Sun Belt. 2 are going to be in the championship game. It's going to be Appalachian State and Arkansas State, the 2 teams that we picked to meet in there last year, but Louisiana spoiled that. Now we've got the Red Wolves finally making their appearance. But, of course, this game will be played at Appalachian State. They own the record both overall and in conference, so the Red Wolves will have to travel on the road, and they will fall to the Mountaineers. To me, this one is a no-brainer. Blake Anderson is doing a phenomenal job with the Red Wolves, finally providing consistency at the head coaching position. But right now, I just don't see the Red Wolves with a brand new quarterback in Logan Bonner, a guy that will continue to improve every single week. I just don't see them coming on the road and beating this Mountaineers team that's going to be so difficult for any team to stop, including North Carolina and South Carolina. The Mountaineers win their 2nd straight Sun Belt Conference Championship, the 2nd ever Sun Belt Conference Championship. They win 10 games over the course of the season, a chance at an 11-win season in 2019. And of course, before we close things out, we do want to say one thing regarding Arkansas State. Blake Anderson's wife, Wendy Anderson, we do want to keep our thoughts and prayers up for him and the Anderson family as she is continuing a long, long battle with cancer that unfortunately is not going away and it's not getting any better. So our thoughts and prayers continuously with the Anderson family. Everybody here across the nation, across the Arkansas State campus, across college football, are Wendy strong. And we want to know that Blake Anderson, we are with you, and our thoughts and prayers are with you. It's much more than a game, guys, across the board. It's about family. It's about your spirit. It's about your faith. It's much more than football. So we want to continue to keep our thoughts and prayers with Blake Anderson and his family and his wife as they go through this difficult time. So guys, as always, once again, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert. And of course, check out our official website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter and sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will receive every single one of our 2019 college football spread picks, including the postseason. And I can promise you that's a deal you do not want to pass up. So join our team, sign up today only at thegridironexpert.com. And once again, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.